Right, folks. Hey, Dan. I'm going to do a big introduction. So I thought you were like getting into the theatre. It's like he's going to appear from somewhere. People of the base camp, how are we doing? Okay, this is the last slot, so I'm going to insist on a mandatory audience participation. People of the base camp, how are we doing? Excellent. I'm really pleased that there's so many people here for this final slot. I deliberately made this the final one. It's slightly earlier than our final slot last year because I really wanted a lot of people to be around to see Dan. Dan has an awesome story. I was put onto him by one of the festival directors. He said, Liam, you've got to check this out. This guy might be around for the festival. You should get him on the stage. And I saw his story and I immediately sent him a message on Twitter, even though he was in the middle of something pretty incredible. And he replied, he was like, yeah, mad for this, let's talk when I'm back. He's going to tell you the whole story, so I'm not going to say anything else. All I would ask is that you lovely people of the base camp give a massive round of applause, filled with groups and cheers, and welcome Dan Keeley. Groups and cheers. Excellent! Come on, talk nice and close to the mic.
How are we doing, guys?
I'm going to leave it to Dan. Enjoy.
Okay, guys, before I get started, because I have got the last slot of the festival, Base Camp 2017, can we just give another massive round of applause, not just for all of the Kendal team, but particularly this man. He's really put his heart and soul into that pizza and the rest of this schedule. Wow, this is wicked. This is wicked. Welcome everybody. Like Liam said, my name is Dan, and I have just finished a big adventure 3 weeks ago. So I'm still a bit jaded, and if I talk too fast, then just start doing this. You know, whether that's praying for me or just getting me to slow down. So anyway, I finished a big adventure 3 weeks ago, which I'm going to tell you guys about. But before we dive into exactly what I've done, I'm just going to give you a bit of a backstory about sort of my career progression and a particular big challenge that I had to overcome, which started in 2012. Yeah, I wouldn't be on the stage if you didn't know that. Basically, I've just run from the Colosseum to the London Eye, but we're going to get to that. So, yeah, my name is Dan. For a day job, I am a community manager for a snow sports charity. Hands up, who was in the snow sports session last night? A couple here? Three of us, I know. 4 people. Amazing. It was awesome. We had a fantastic evening last night, and I was really happy to wear the hat for my day job to go and present with the snow sports charities, which is what I do for a living. But anyway, that was last night, and now it's all about me. So yeah, I'm 32 years old, and if there's one thing that I am comfortable calling myself, it's an optimist. Some people might call me an adventure runner, or a minimalist, or a mental health advocate, but quite honestly, the only word I'm pretty comfortable with calling myself is an optimist. You know, I'm always looking for the positives in every situation. I always think that our best days are to come, whether that's personally or for Brexit or whatever. Yeah, I'm a pretty optimistic guy. So if you don't mind, guys, I'm going to take you on a little bit of a journey of my career progression, and then, like I said, I'm going to tell you about this particular challenge which I had to face in 2012. So, just in nature, I've always been that passionate, enthusiastic person, super positive, you know, always active as a kid growing up, and you know, if I wasn't the captain of my football team, then I'd be throwing a frisbee down the local park, or out there on my mountain bike, or heading off to the mountains skiing, thanks to my parents. So I was always this pretty active person, and that continued all the way through secondary school, all the way through college and university. I scraped a degree at the University of Brighton. I got a 2-2, I got 42 on my dissertation. But I did channel all my energy into all these voluntary activities and just harnessing this kind of natural energy that I've always had. So during my 3 years at Brighton, I was the president of the lacrosse club. I was on the Snow Sports Committee, I was on the Sports Federation Committee as my course representative, I was volunteering with the South of England lacrosse team, I played 2 seasons with the South of England lacrosse team just because I could run pretty fast, that was pretty much it. So I ran the London Marathon in my 3rd year, so again, throughout my 3-year university experience, I was pretty on it and channeled 75% of my energy into all this voluntary, hands-on stuff, which has boded quite well in the long run. So I graduated from the University of Brighton in 2008 and we moved up to London, and we spent 8 years in London in total. And so my first graduate job was a researcher for sports facilities across the United Kingdom, which in practice meant you do a little bit of work and then spend 7 hours a day staring at Google Earth. So you start thinking about, you start looking at this planet as one massive playground. And so it was in 2008, during my first graduate job, where I really started thinking, perhaps I could take on a big adventure one day. And it was really then that I started to look at, the Dave Conquates and the Jamie Ramseys and, the Rosie Swale Popes and all these other guys who've just gone out there and done it. Obviously, Savannah finds people like that are just on another level. But I started looking at all these lifestyle entrepreneurs, lifestyle adventurers, and quietly, to myself thinking, I don't think they've got too much that I don't have. They just committed to doing it. So like I said, it was 2008 where I started thinking I could take on a big adventure one day. When I moved on from the Sport England project, I spent 2 years there. I was a sports events manager over in West London. I worked for a marketing agency looking after Cadbury's sponsorship of the Olympic Games. So a couple of really cool positions there, and during that time I actually qualified as a skiing instructor as well. So I saved up enough money, I worked 2 jobs, I get out to the Alps, qualify as a Phase 2 skiing instructor, which is just wonderful because most winters I can now go back out and do 2, 3, 4 weeks instructing every year, which is fantastic. And all of those experiences came together in 2012 when I started at a snow sports youth charity. Can you believe that? And I didn't even know it existed. So in 2012 I saw this advert for this snow sports youth charity that harnesses the power of skiing and snowboarding to support inner city young people, and I thought, wow, this is written for me. And I remember when I applied for the job, I don't even think I sent in a CV or anything. I just jumped on the train, got down there, had the interview, and it was just written for me, and everybody was telling me the same thing. Dan, this is written for you, this is where you're supposed to be. So you can imagine, bearing in mind that energy I had growing up, how I felt on day one of this new job that I just started in January 2012. And I basically felt like I've arrived, I've done it. All my experiences up until this time have been leading up to this awesome position with this awesome charity. So I start on day one, and this is where you're going to get the sense of this challenge which I had to face in 2012. So it's January 2012. I start at Snow Camp, and even on day one, I was thinking, man, I've got so many ideas and I can apply for this charity. There's different fundraising events, how I'm going to bring the community together, these new partnerships that we're going to build, everything. And I started, basically just going for it. And so basically through the first half of 2012, my energy and my enthusiasm and my passion and also the dopamine and the adrenaline, it was all just vamping up to another level. It really was just dialing up and dialing up and dialing up. And everybody just said, oh, it's just Dan, it's just Dan XL, he's just more on it. I was making all these connections with people I didn't really know, all these business leaders and all the rest of it, and I was, all this conviction was just building and building and building. And basically, through January, March, April, May, I started thinking, if I'm going to have this impact for the charity, why can't I apply the same energy to society? So I started thinking, if I'm going to change the lives of these inner city young people with snow sports, why can't I think about the impact that I could have for society as a whole, the United Kingdom, and then why stop there? Why can't I try and change the world? And so my mood and my energy was just vamping up and vamping up and vamping up. And we booked this 2-week holiday to Italy in June 2012. And everybody was saying, Dan, please, just go on this holiday and switch off. But I couldn't, because my foot, I'm going to use like an analogy of a Formula 1 car, but my foot was firmly planted on the accelerator and there was no stopping me. And so, I started basically not looking after myself. I wasn't really eating properly because the thought of spending 2 hours in the kitchen to cook a nutritious meal was a waste of time because there are people suffering out there. I want to play my part to do something about it. I can't be bothered, just put a microwave meal in. So I didn't really eat well, I wasn't really sleeping. I went for 3 weeks straight, having 2 hours sleep a night. Again, just because I had the sense that people are suffering right now, I want to do something about it, I believe in my ideas, I need to get those ideas on paper. And I remember sometimes my wife would wake up and she'd come into the lounge in the morning and you couldn't see the floor because of all these ideas. The paper was just everywhere with streams of energy and ideas. And have you guys seen Homeland with Carrie? when her mood escalates, you've seen what it's like, right? That was our situation. There was paper everywhere, all these ideas. I was going to change the world. I was going to connect with these people, everything, and it was just vamping up and vamping up. So I wasn't eating, I wasn't sleeping, and everybody was telling me just to switch off. So we're flying out to Italy, and it's up towards Lake Geneva, and like I said, everybody was just telling me to switch off, turn off your phone, and all the rest of it, but I couldn't. I started basically believing I was the next Mark Zuckerberg, or the next Steve Jobs. I was really going to change the world. Basically, when we touched down in Italy, I started believing I was the chosen one. Can you believe that? Properly. I started believing I was the chosen one. So, over those first few days at the hotel, I bought a book that Steve Jobs had written, and I stripped it down to what I believed was the New Age Bible, fit for 2012 at the time. I genuinely believed I'd written a New Age Bible. I also slept in a dried out fountain because some of the hotel staff didn't ask us if our room was okay. So as a demonstration, I was looking for perfection, and so I slept in a dried out fountain. You know, I got these parasols from the swimming pool and these mattresses and some bread and wine from the restaurant. It was crazy. In the true sense of the word, it was crazy. I was losing my mind. And obviously all the alarm bells are going off. So Georgie, she was my fiance at the time, she's now my wife. She starts cooking. I told you this is going to be a bit of a ride. She calls out my family. So my mother starts flying out from, she was on holiday in Portugal at the time, so she starts flying out. Georgie's mother starts flying out to be with us because something wasn't right. And we had to get me to a psychiatric hospital, and at this point I was quite happy to go along for the ride. So we're driving over to the psychiatric hospital. It's about an hour and a half drive away. I was the only one insured on our little Fiat 500, and we're driving along, and this sense of wanting to change the world right now to ease the suffering that's going on out there, I was going to explode if I didn't get it out of my system. So we pull over on the hard shoulder, I scramble out the car, I take off all my clothes down to my khaki shorts, and I start walking down the slow lane, and I stop traffic. I'm like, stop. Middle lane, fast lane. And there I was, at 5 PM on a Friday, rush hour, in northern Italy, stood in the middle of a motorway, having backed up the traffic for 10 miles as a demonstration to get the world to slow down and follow their hearts. I'd lost it. It was crazy. In the true sense of the word, I'd lost my mind. And I stood in the middle of this motorway, and I started letting one car go at a time. And I was like, slow down, follow your heart. One at a time, on you go. One at a time. Slow down, follow your heart. And obviously it's pretty catastrophic. At the time it felt like pure euphoria, but for everybody around me, and of course what was to come, it got pretty dire. So just to paint the picture, you know, I was trying to change the world by myself, and I think it's pretty evident where this journey's going. So after 10 minutes of standing in the middle of that motorway, the police cars are there, the ambulance is there, and they're like, what's this guy on? Has he been smoking? What's going on? Nobody had the answer. So they get me in the back of an ambulance, they strap me down, 30-minute drive, get me to a secure ward in the psychiatric hospital, and they strap me down. And they start pumping me full of all these drugs that would sedate the sumo wrestler, just to make me slow down and eat and sleep. And slow down and eat and sleep. Slow down, eat and sleep. It started working. So I'm in the psychiatric ward. Obviously these aren't pictures from the ward. That wouldn't be right. You get the idea then. So we're in the psychiatric ward, and it was like my gearbox was completely destroyed, because a split second earlier, I genuinely believed I was the chosen one and had 100% conviction in every single word that was leaving my lips, every atom of my being. I had 100% conviction in, and we were going to change the world. And here I am, waking up in a psychiatric ward with zero conviction in myself. I was like, what is going on? This isn't where I'm supposed to be. I was going to set up my headquarters in Rome. I was going to rally my dream team. These police officers that showed up were going to be my head of security. All of this stuff, right? It was properly crazy. And then on the other end of the scale, I'm waking up and I was like, this isn't right. This isn't where I'm supposed to be. And my gearbox was destroyed, is the best way to describe it. So I spent 2 weeks in this ward in Italy. Two nurses fly out from the UK to bring me back from the British Embassy. They get me back to Gatwick, and then they get me straight to the Maudsley Hospital in south-east London. And I spent another 2 weeks in there, and you can see where this is going, but I was diagnosed with bipolar disorder, and I was discharged from the Maudsley after 2.5 weeks there. So there's about 5 weeks in total that I was an inpatient, and then I get discharged, and in a nutshell, the back end of 2012, I went from going at 200 miles an hour like Ayrton Senna and Lewis Hamilton to being in the gravel with my chassis, my gearbox, and everything was completely broken. And it sucked. At the back end of 2012, I was suicidal. Did not want to be alive. Thanks, guys. So I didn't want to be here. I didn't want to be alive. I went from all that conviction to basically believing I was a burden on society, the scum of the earth, and a huge burden on my friends and family. I started having talking therapy, obviously medication, and to answer the question that those of you who might be wondering, I got to the point where I put my trainers on to go and suss out where I was going to jump off this particular bridge, which I'm not going to name. So I got pretty close. But thankfully, I've got an amazing, amazing dream team of people around me. Amazing, the world's best family, the world's most amazing wife, and just a fantastic group of mates who had my back. And I was also having talking therapy. So through the back end of 2012, it was pretty dire. And even trying to muster up the energy to walk 2 meters to brush my teeth every day was a real chore. It was tough. It was really, really tough. It completely sucked. But I would not be standing on this stage if this didn't turn out to be a positive story. So from January 2013, having had the biggest year of my life for all sorts of reasons, I start to go back to work, the talking therapy continues, and I started being open about my experiences because of all that passion and energy that I carried through all of my life, there was no hiding it. Everybody could see that I've gone through something. So I was just open about my experiences, everything, the psychiatric wards, what happened in Italy, how I'm feeling right now, and all the rest of it. And I've been really fortunate to have had a couple of platforms over the past 4 years to share that story. And there's a few people here who went to Festival, which is an amazing festival down in the southeast, and that was my first real platform publicly to share my experiences. And it was during that time, in 2016, having had 3 years of this positive, progressive journey of recovery, getting back to a really happy place, that I announced that I was going to go back to Italy and I was going to take on a huge adventure. And I was going to use it as a platform to share my story and keep more men alive by talking. And here we are. Here we are on the back of having just completed 3 weeks ago 1,250 mile self-supported running adventure from Rome to home. It took 65 days. It took 65 days, and forget 2012. This was the year that was going to change my life. For all the most amazing reasons. It was a life-changing 65 days. We raised £15,000 for the campaign against living miserably. And they're an amazing charity dedicated to keeping men alive by talking. And I could not have done this without the support of Snow Camp, so we raised £2,000 for Snow Camp when I crossed the Alps as well. So that's enough talking for the moment. I'm sure Liam's got a couple of questions lined up in a moment. And guys, I'm happy to answer any of your questions that you may have. But to stop me from waffling for the next 4.5 minutes, I'm going to show you some of the highlights. Enjoy.